Today I am here with Micah Butler. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I first want to say I love your outfit.
Thank you.
It
Thank you.
looks very spiffy.
Yes, yours too.
It's just
It's
really
pretty
great. Oh
nice.
yeah, I'll just put this together. Just something. Woke up this morning. I said, what can I put on today to interview the great Micah
Oh,
Butler?
thank you. Thank you.
So Micah, you are the CEO of Kings Arise Fashion,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And also over the Micah Lawrence Brand.
Yes, sir.
Amazing. So today we're going to be talking about creating for the culture.
Right.
In your businesses, I've noticed, and the great work that you've done, the majority of your work is really culture based.
Definitely.
And I think that that's so important because as creatives, I think it's important for us to make sure that what we're doing and what we're designing and what we do, the culture is reflected in that, and that the culture can feel important about that. So first off, tell me about both of your businesses, just so those who don't know you can understand exactly what it is that you do.
All right. So I'll start with King's Rise. King's Rise Clothing. We started back. Now we're about 3.5 years old.
3 years?
Yeah, 3 years
Wow.
now. 3 years.
Wow.
So it started and it was birthed out of activism. I was in Louisville, Kentucky, doing a lot of activism work, groundwork at the time. There was a young girl, 16 years old, Janiyah McMillan. She lost her life inside of a juvenile detention facility. So I was really on the front lines of that. And then I was also doing a youth mentorship program. That youth mentorship program was called Kings Arise, actually. A lot of the stuff that I was doing with that, it was coming out of pocket. So like all the events, we would take them out on Saturdays, play basketball, like all of that. Then take them out to eat after, bowling trips, went to Six Flags, stuff like that. Kind of just get them outside of their normal daily routines.
Yeah.
When you live in certain areas, urban communities, as people say, you kind of see the same thing every day. So
Sure.
it was our mission to kind of get them outside of what they always do and change their perspective. Since so much of that was coming out of pocket, I had to figure out ways to create income and try to help fund these ideas and fund these events. So I created the first T-shirt, and we just did that T-shirt as a fundraiser.
What was the first T-shirt?
It just said "Kings Arise," and it was like an African. It was like the African country
Okay.
continent, because
Continent.
Africa is a continent, not a country. So yeah, it was the continent of Africa, and on the face, like on the front of it, it had a boy's face on it.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it was
Okay.
Kings Rise. It said educate, equip, and empower. Those were the three mantras that we have for the youth program. So like those sold like crazy. So I was like, okay, we might have something with this. So then I did the Black Love. So February rolled around, and I did the Black Love Matters shirts for Valentine's Day, and then yeah, those went crazy too. So I just sat down, really thought about it, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna actually create this as an actual clothing line. So I kind of got the ball rolling on that. Since then, we've done pretty good. Been to New York Fashion Week, been on BET, ESPN, just created some different partnerships. And like one of the main things, like you talked about creating for the culture,
Yeah.
that's really big, especially in the fashion industry. If you look this past week, you've seen Burberry and you've seen Gucci have these questionable,
Exactly.
clothing items. There was the blackface, and then there was the one with the noose that they wore on the runway. So I think it's really important that we have something that is actually for us. So many times we look at the Gucci's, the Louis V's, and we think those are, how do I say, we think those give us status. But I think we need to go to black fashion brands and make those the benchmarks that people want. I think that's just really important, representation. So that's one thing that we do. And then all of the shirts that we do have, is everything has a message. Our slogan is "Clothes That Speak." So, and that goes back to the activism. I was in a place when I was doing that where I was out in the streets. I was doing a protest, got arrested a couple of times, hopping up on
My God.
hopping up on police vehicles. And what I noticed is that that's good, but that's not sustainable. And you can't only do that. And I really thought that the messages that I wanted out there, if I put them on T-shirts and start conversations, because that's what it really does. It starts conversations. Even if you don't like it, even if you don't agree, we got a shirt that says "Everyone copies us," and it's about cultural appropriation. So whenever I wear that shirt, whenever somebody else wears that shirt, it begins to start conversations, and then people are like, "What does that mean?" And then we can open up that dialogue. I think a lot of the lack of progress we see in this country is because of a lack of dialogue.
Yeah.
So I always want to create something that gets people talking, whether it's for good, whether it's for bad. As long as we're having a conversation at the table, I think we're heading in the right direction.
It's so important what you say about the lack of dialogue, because going back to what you're talking about, the Burberry
Yeah.
or even Gucci things, stuff that happens like that. I think culture wise, and let's just culture wise, just speaking as African Americans, we are very vocal about the things that are not done for us by
Right.
people who just very clearly these clothes were not designed for. And when it comes to supporting black businesses or things like that, we're like I said, there's no message that's being said from our own people. We're not speaking any messages, and we are upset when those who don't speak for us or who can't speak for us aren't speaking loudly enough.
Right.
And I think that's an issue. Whereas too, if Gucci does something wrong, we're rah 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 to go, crucify them. But where is our voice being heard? Whereas too, no one cares about what they do because we have our own stuff. We're not wearing your stuff anyway. But I think it's about finding a voice in black businesses and in our community to say, we as creatives, we as a culture, we as a people, we are not fazed by what you do or what you put out there, because we are more focused about our own stuff.
Right.
And I think that's what you've been successful in, is creating those messages and creating a brand whereas two people can wear them and they can speak their message without it being through protests, without it
Right.
being through picketing or anything like that, which are all fine avenues of doing that, but that's not for everybody.
Right.
And I think we have to learn as creatives that there's more than one way to get the message across. And whether that be through clothing, whether that be through art, whether that be through movies or television, whatever that is, we have to find a way to get our message out and get our message across. And I think you've done a fantastic job in doing that. Tell me exactly, because you've told me about how it started and the activism, and tell me, how have you seen when you first started, how have you seen the message grow or even just impact those who you've come across along the way?
So yeah, when I first started, to be honest, I had no idea what I was doing.
Most people.
Yeah, I
none
had
of
no
us
idea
do.
what I was doing, and I kind of just did it. But that was the thing, is just being able to. So when I remember when we first started, I think a lot of times people quit things prematurely because it's not booming like they think it's supposed to be. So like there were certain designs. So not every single design. That's one thing with creatives. Like we always have idea after idea after idea. Some ideas work, some don't, but you got to keep pushing. I think one thing that I've learned during this whole entire process is not every design is gonna pop. There's some stuff that I put out, and I'm like, yo, they're gonna love this. This is gonna hit, and then nothing.
Yeah.
And then there's some stuff that I didn't think was going to be good that stuck and people, always wanted. The melanin Polaroid shirt. I just put that out there. I didn't think a lot of people would get it,
And
but now,
everybody wanted
now
that
everybody
shit.
wants
I
it.
think that is. I think when most people see that, that is the one that everybody wants.
That everybody wants. So, but yeah, I've just seen over the past 3 years, the message has grown. So when I initially did it, we're for the culture, and I will still say that I do create for the culture, but I've kind of expanded it a little bit because I don't only want to make clothes for black people. I want anybody to be able to wear it. So there was a time where you went to the website and like if you were white, if you were Hispanic, if you were any race other than black, like you probably couldn't find anything on there because it was so like tied to the culture, and people were like, I want to support, but
I don't feel comfortable wearing.
I don't feel comfortable wearing a respect my melanin shirt if I
Exactly.
have like this much melanin.
Exactly.
So we've kind of expanded. We dropped the No Label Needed line collection, and like that really speaks on no label. So that was two faceted. It was, we're so focused on the big brands, the big labels. I'm not even going to mention them again, but we're so focused on those labels, and I really believe that you can fashion. So like labels don't make, whatever label you wear doesn't make you. Doesn't mean that you can dress. It doesn't mean that you have an understanding of fashion. Somebody who really has a true understanding of fashion, they could wear something from Walmart and make it pop.
Exactly.
So one thing that we want to do with the no label collection, it was like showing like it says just simple, no label needed,
Hmm.
and we can't be tied to labels, right?
Yeah.
And then on the other side of that, it was a cultural and a societal standpoint of no labels needed.
Hmm.
We put labels on everything. We try to put people in boxes, and I think that's really detrimental to people. So, over the years, I've just tried to create different messages that everybody can. So, like at this point, anybody can go to the website and find something they like, regardless of their race, religion, creed. That's another thing.
Yeah.
So we recently did a fashion show, and
Yes.
so yeah,
Amazing job. I
thank
must
you,
say. It was
thank
an
you,
amazing job. I got
thank
the
you.
opportunity to actually go, and uh, what I saw, it was way further than what I expected. And I think when you do a fashion show, most people think, it's going to be this brand and this brand,
Right,
suits and gowns and all kind of stuff. But it
beautiful
was
gowns.
beautiful gowns, gowns, beautiful gowns. It was more than just that. It was where you could see the message being across and things that were just simply in just t-shirts.
Hmm.
And I think it was just and seeing the t-shirts and how people wear them every single day of
Hmm.
their style. And I think it was just so much that was going on. I love the way you did tributes to different eras or different artists and things like that. So tell me more about the process and even just the brainstorm behind all of that.
So yeah, so I know we've all been to fashion shows. We grew up in church, so we've been in those
Yes.
church fashion shows where
All
you have
those.
the narrator and they're walking down, they do their turn, and then they
Hmm.
go back. I did not want to do that.
Hmm.
Like I didn't want to do that type of fashion show. And one thing that I told my team, I had an amazing team. And one thing that I told them at the beginning, at the infancy of it all, was that I wanted to create an experience. I didn't want it just to be people walking out in clothes. So I just thought about different things. Like we got a lot of stuff that's '90s inspired. So
Hmm.
I wanted to do a scene for the '90s. Since everything was birthed out of activism, I wanted to have like a Black Lives Matter type scene where we did a tribute to the Black lives who we've lost to like police brutality. Prince, we had a scene about, we had a scene
Yeah.
with Prince.
Yeah.
So what I did is all of the designs that we have in shirts, I took those and made them purple,
Yeah.
right? So we have purple shirts, black shirts with purple designs.
Mhm.
Then we just so we did we did a couple scene with that and just kind of embody the spirit of Prince in there. And then we ended the show. So we ended, and it's a funny story. So we ended the show with all of our inspirational
Mhm.
inspirational shirts.
Yeah.
At hindsight, I probably wouldn't do that again. And I only say that because as a Christian creative, sometimes you get forced to do something because you feel like, well, I have to do this
Yeah.
because I have to give it back to Jesus
It's
at the
gotta
end
be
of the
churchy.
day. Right. It gotta be churchy.
The
So
church people are coming, so I
yeah,
got
the church people are coming, so I
Yeah.
have to make them happy. And like one of my mentors, he asked me, he's like, "Why did you put that last scene in? It seemed really forced."
Yeah.
And it was, but and that's one thing as a creative, we have to, and being a Christian creative, we always have to find that sweet spot in how do I operate in this industry, keep my faith, but not be forced to try to preach a message.
Yeah.
Because I believe the shirts in itself will gives out messages that's needed. So I didn't have to necessarily be like, okay, we're gonna go to church, we're gonna play Kirk Franklin and
Kirk
Travis Green at the end of the show. But
Smile.
but that's a learning experience. That's one thing people always push me to. A lot of the church people try to push me to become a Christian clothing line.
Mhm.
They're like, so we have certain messages. Legacy requires labor. Pray then do the work. And those shirts, Grace to Finish, those shirts have a Christian message,
Yeah.
but anybody will feel comfortable wearing those,
Yeah.
right? Pray do the work came from faith without works is dead, right? So like all of these things have biblical principles, but they're not so much preachy. But there's some people who are like, hey, you should make a shirt that says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, delivered, set free, no longer bound by chains.
Yeah.
Like all of that stuff is nice, but it's not for me.
Exactly.
So just I think every creative should know what they're called to do and who they're called to. I think that's where success comes in and like longevity comes in when you're not trying to be everything for everybody.
I think that's so important because, again, as a creative, you'll learn that people will try to force you into
Yeah.
things that they think that you should be doing. And like you say, you're not against Christian slogans, but that's
Right.
just not what's working for you. And just because it's not working for you doesn't mean that you love God any less, or
Right.
that you don't want him in any of your designs. I think it's you've developed an identity about who you are. And I think what it also does is it allows more people to enjoy what you're doing and enjoy your brand and enjoy, because if I'm not per se, if I'm not saved, I'm not a believer or something like that, I may not wear your shirt and I may not get the opportunity to experience what Kings Arise is. But because it's something that I can relate to and it's something that I can be a part of, again, later on, that can be something that can happen, or, that could be something that I can move into. But I think what you've experienced in a lot of creatives is just finding their niche. I think a lot of creatives don't know what their niche is. They don't know what they're doing. And so that's why a lot of their stuff, and that's why knowing what you are, something that's out of the normal, like you said, at the end of your fashion show, it seemed forced.
Right.
Because it was something that was not supposed to be there because it did not fit you.
Right.
And I think as creatives, we've got to learn what our kind of like sweet spot is and work and drive that. When you end up doing too much, you end up not doing anything at all, because nobody's receiving what you're doing, because you're doing this one day, this the next day. We think your brand is this, we think you're this, we think you're all of that. And I think that that's something very important that you've kind of shared and given insight on as far as doing that. Speaking on creatives, I know the Micah Lawrence Brand is more of on the creative side of it. You do a lot of stuff empowering creatives and giving them that information or that push or that drive. Talk to me about what that's been doing and how that's been unfolding for you.
No problem. So the Micah Lawrence Brand, at the end of the day, we say branding for your future, right? And the thing, what we do with that, at the end of, so we're building it right now. I got a team and I'm building them. So I want it to be a place where all right, let's say you're starting a business or whatever, right? I want you to be able to come to us. You can get your logo done. You can get your headshots done. All your photography needs can get done. We'll build your website. We'll manage your social media if you need. So what I want to provide is a platform for where whatever you need, you can come and get it there. I think one of the biggest things that business owners, creatives, whoever, anybody with any type of platform, one of their biggest mistakes is they don't brand themselves properly.
Yes.
They do not brand themselves properly. I see some and simple things like that. You and I, that we see that's a simple thing isn't simple to everybody.
Yes.
We have the luxury of going to a church that's like branding, that's just like out of this world, but it's actually an anomaly because I see so many like flyers from churches and it's just like
it's so hideous sometimes.
It's really bad.
It's really bad.
Yellow writing on white backgrounds.
It's so bad.
so I think that and then I do it so like one thing that it is prices are affordable too. Not everybody has just a bunch of money to drop on this stuff, but I really feel that it's important. So that's what we're doing right now. Right now, I provide photography services, graphic design services, website building services, and social media management. So at this point right now, I've just been working with a lot of models since I'm already in the fashion industry. So I've been helping them with just like getting their headshots, getting their comp cards. Comp cards are like models' business cards / resumes, getting those together and just branding them, even teaching them stuff like if you're a model and your name is David Smith, right? But your Instagram name is chocolate. So whatever, right? Chocolate, so whatever. Chocolate drop 3,
no
4, 5.
correlation between that brand.
No correlation. So it's like if you want people to take you seriously, you have to present yourself as serious. And that's with whatever. If you're a barber, I should be able to go to your page, your Instagram, and see that you're a barber. Yeah. Not only that, you should have some professional headshots. You should have some professional pictures showing that this is what you do. Your haircut should be nice in that picture. So you got to present yourself the way you want people to see you.
Absolutely. I hope everyone listening to this is taking that advice. And one thing you said that I think the reason why we have so many creators out there who do not know how to brand themselves or don't take the initiative is because they think you have to spend so much money to do that. You don't. You can. I think people think if I don't go big, then I shouldn't do it. You have to learn how to start where you are and brand wherever you are. If you have one headshot and one logo, you brand the heck out that one logo and that one headshot. But we as creatives, sometimes we want the full package. We want the full meal. before we're able to even, partake of the appetizer.
Right.
And I think that is the key, is that we have to be comfortable where we are and what we're able to do. And a lot of times we go too big and we do too much, and there is no consistency. One big thing for branding is consistency. Like,
Right.
if my colors are this, they should look like this all the time. They shouldn't
Yes.
change the next day. So I think, and even with your business and your t-shirts, they have a mood, they have a theme. The melanin t-shirt is not going to have different shades of colors on it
No.
next time. It has.
No.
You've established a brand, you've established a look, and I think that's why people want it, because when they look at it, they know it came from you.
Right.
They know it came from Kings Arise, because you've established standards, and I think that's so important for anybody who's listening, who's thinking about branding your stuff. Definitely, Micah Lawrence Brand is something that you need to invest in, and creators, we have to learn to invest in ourselves.
That's so good.
We do a lot of work for other people, and we don't invest in ourselves.
Right.
The worst thing for a creative is to brand everybody else, and your branding crap is crap. It sucks, and no one knows what you're doing. But it's like, who branded your stuff? And you
Right.
get a reference, and all your stuff is messed up. But you've done beautiful work, and so I think that's just something important that we need to talk about, and we are. So, Micah, tell me about what's going on next for you. You did the fashion show, wonderful job. I heard so much about it. I got the chance to be there, and it was incredible. What is coming up next for you?
All right, what's next? So I just got back from New York Fashion Week. That was awesome. This time I didn't have my brand in the shows this time around, but I went as a photographer.
So you got a chance to just go to the different runways.
Go to the
and stuff
different
like
runways, and then I did 30 photo shoots while I was
Wow.
out there, and I did a photo shoot for the Small Boutique Fashion Show. It's called a Small Boutique Fashion Show, but it's the biggest independent show for New York Fashion Week.
Got it.
So I got to photograph that. So New York Fashion Week was an awesome experience. And then right now we're working on our second fashion show. So this fashion show is going to have, right now I got about 8 different designers that's coming in. We're doing a Rihanna tribute fashion show. So I'm not sure when this is going to air, so it might have happened by the time people listen to it. But what we're doing, we're going to take about 8 to 10 Rihanna songs, and then we're going to craft scenes around them. So like diamonds, we have an amazing designer by the name. Her name is Cheryl Washington, and what she's doing, like all of her stuff has like diamonds and it's like just real elegant.
Wow,
So
amazing.
all the people walking in that scene is gonna have something by her. Kings Arise, we're gonna obviously be headlining the show. So yeah, we're gonna take that. I also have a student from Columbia College, a graduate from Columbia College. He's putting together a dance. He's choreographing a dance. About 6 to 8 dancers going to be in that dance. So pretty much it's going to be like a tribute to like the music of Rihanna and just like her progression as an artist. And we're going to tie her fashion to the fashion of the show. So
Wow.
I'm pretty excited about that.
I can imagine what that's going to be.
It might not be for the Saints though, because
Well, listen, they need
Yes.
to, they listen to Rihanna anyway. We don't say nothing. They won't act like they listen.
they won't
to
act like, but they know all the
will.
songs.
Man, thank you so much for that. If you need any models or any dancing, I am
wanna walk?
available. I'm available.
All right,
I'm always
we'll
available
put
to
you
do
in
that.
You could be a guest.
I'm not even going to ask. I'm just going to show up.
All
Just
right.
come. I want some diamonds on my clothes. Thank you so much, Micah, for joining us.
problem.
I appreciate it. How can people keep in touch with you and find out if they want to know about the fashion show, they want to know about all your businesses? How can they keep in touch with you?
Okay, I'm trying to see what I want to give the people. All right, you can hit me up on Instagram at Kings Arise. That's Kings Arise. And you can also check the Micah Lawrence brand out at Micah Lawrence Brand. And I think we'll give him that for
You'll
now.
give him that. You
Yeah,
just wanna
no
give-
personal DMs.
No
and all
DMs.
that. No.
Status DMs,
Stay
everybody.
out.
He don't want them.
No.
Thank you so much, Micah. Appreciate
right.
it.